the amber hush of firelight, the chamber breathed with a quiet tension.
You mean to stand there all
Lady
night,
Eleanor
trembling
stood
like a
near the
leaf?
hearth, her trembling fingers
I didn't
struggling
think
with
you
the
would follow me,
satin
my
ribbon
lord.
of her robe.
When you
She had
fled
been
the
taught
hall,
to
I
keep
had
her
no
fear
choice.
silent,
I am
to
not
bow her
prepared
head,
for your
to endure.
questions.
Then give
But
me only the
tonight,
truth.
there was a man behind her who noticed every subtle flinch. Duke Nathaniel Harrington watched from across the room, his face carved in aristocratic restraint, unreadable as stone. And still, he watched her. The ribbon slipped. The silk fell. And with it, the truth she had hidden beneath layers of fine fabrics and carefully contained posture. The firelight caught the pale scars scattered across her skin, marks of an old cruelty, etched like ghostly lace. Nathaniel's sharp breath pierced the silence. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe at all. Who did this to you? His voice, usually cold, controlled, was stripped raw, human, pained. Eleanor turned away, shame burning beneath her ribs. She had spent her whole life hiding. Tonight, the past had followed her into her marriage bed. The same man who sold me to you, she whispered. Her father. The monster behind the velvet mask of an earl. Their wedding had been quiet, transactional, almost clinical. A duchess acquired, a debt erased. Nathaniel had touched her only long enough to slide the ring onto her trembling finger, his voice clipped and formal, as though reciting a ledger. And yet, when he saw her scars, truly saw her, something inside him shattered. He crossed the room, but stopped just before reaching her, giving her space, not commands. Eleanor, he said, her name softer than she had ever heard. I may have agreed to this marriage for reasons of business, but I am not a monster. No one will touch you without your consent, not in this house, not while I live. And with the quiet dignity of a man who meant every word, he gathered a few things and left the room. He did not claim her. He did not take what he could have demanded. He simply left her with a promise she hardly dared believe. In London, rumors bloomed like poisonous flowers. He left her alone on their wedding night. She must have displeased him, poor girl, plain, timid, hardly worth a duchess's title. But beneath the whispers, Eleanor found purpose, managing the household, aiding tenants, discovering that her mind was sharper than society ever allowed her to show. She also discovered the man behind the title. Nathaniel Harrington, the Duke who read books on justice, the man who treated workers with fairness, the man who kissed no one's feet, not even society's. And slowly, ever so slowly, the cold distance between them began to melt. The day her father arrived at Thornfield, swaggering with false charm, the scars beneath Eleanor's gown seemed to burn anew. He demanded money again, called her ungrateful again, tried to use her again. But this time, she did not bow. And this time, she was not alone. Nathaniel entered with the fury of a storm barely held at bay. She is my wife, he said, voice colder than steel. Not your debt to collect. For the first time in her life, someone had stood between her and her father. For the first time, she felt protected. Days later, Nathaniel summoned her to his study. What he placed before her changed everything. Her father's debts, all of them, transferred to her name. You choose his fate, Nathaniel said quietly. Justice should be yours to decide. Power, freedom, choice. Gifts she had never known. And with a trembling breath, Eleanor chose mercy with boundaries sharp as shattered glass. I will not imprison him, she said. But he will live knowing his freedom rests in my hands. Nathaniel looked at her then, not as a burden or obligation, but with admiration that felt like sunlight. You surprise me, Eleanor, he murmured. And you, she whispered back. Thornfield Park changed them both. Days of shared work, evenings of soft conversation, nights of stolen glances and hesitant smiles. And then one twilight walk in the rose garden. Nathaniel stopped and faced her. When we married, he said, I promised you would never be touched without your consent. Tell me, have your feelings changed? Eleanor met his gaze, unflinching. They have, she said. I choose you, Nathaniel, not from duty, but desire. That night, for the first time, she invited him into her chambers. When her gown slipped from her shoulders, revealing her scars, he didn't look away. He kissed each one. Beautiful, he murmured against her skin. All of you. And for the first time in her life, her scars did not feel like shame. They felt like survival. Months later, when the portrait was commissioned, Eleanor made a request that left the painter speechless. "Paint me as I am. Bare shoulders. No disguises." Nathaniel backed her instantly. "Leave the scars," he said. "They are her truth." When the portrait was unveiled, her dignity, her history, her strength, society gasped. But Nathaniel? He looked at her as though seeing the woman he had fallen in love with all over again. "Magnificent," he whispered. From a marriage of transaction rose a union built on respect, healing, choice, and a love that neither of them had dared to imagine. This was not the tale society had expected. It was better. Because it was theirs.